Joanna Kitadon Bisimjan Tamji Sanji Kombon Tobrajavi Chudo, then Jamgön Lodrö Thaye, Lhawang Tashi and Bishadamki, Yamsil because of Baba Reyes.
So remember to bring all sentient beings, all mother sentient beings, limitless space to the state of Buddhahood. We are practicing the advice given to Lhawang Tashi by Jamgön Kongtrul Lodrö Thaye.
Voilà, teni chena bakata ngazo semgi ngo kaso semgi tseni ngazo sashin rikpa se juro wala. Te tegi tola chena bachitangi tosang she da mi se yante chongsong.
So Rinpoche is wondering whether yesterday you got a chance to think more about what is the definition of the mind, the knowingness and clarity. So, what did you discover?
It's still confusing.
Sorry?
It is still confusing.
Tarun test together.
Some discussion exchange how we perceive. So we have different ways of perceiving clarity.
Ta kunto rolling mambo cheyens. De mixegi salwa korla ta mireregi ta samsu rere yazare segidu.
Ne, ba.
So anybody else?
Why is Rigpa also denominating true nature of mind? How is this connected?
자 Rigpa se samso yang semgi nelu gi kecharwa. De kareina de digi Rigpa dan semgi nelu korgi Rigpa di chiparves. Yamana chepar kareres di dam.
Semgi nelu rikpa.
Mixe dzogchen nalara Rigpa se na ten semgi nelu kla korwa.
Re Zopa chimbe nang ta ngo rikpa se ne sungi do wa. Re ten sungi do was re ba.
Di chiparve.
La
Di chiparves ke chegit.
mare sungi do was re ba. Ine ngi zopa chimbe nang singi rikpa se de condition shage ngi ha ko mens re ba.
So Rinpoche says he knows that in the Great Perfection, in the Dzogchen teachings, they speak about Rigpa as the nature of mind, but he doesn't know exactly the Dzogchen teachings to be able to say if this is the same definition or not.
Nga samna khatangi nga so Rigpa se deshi jatang chorwa. Ti chitangi nga so deshi jatang bete 세 통보긴 대시 잡던 된지 말해. 제단기 가서 가서 낭비기 세 마리 봐요 봐. 낭비기 세 마리 봐낭라. 제단기 가서 셈세 사실이 바레스데 건 대시 잡기래. 대낭 신신은 로비요래. 대인데 값소 대가서 릭세데 가서 가서 배나 가서 가서 디 가르세 거라다 대기 빠체 Rigpa tikse da oda tene damar mombol desi jabir shija thangma hakkoye nipa yo basila jabir ba tene jojin ka Rigpa se dika pe mesegi ta ko ya che thombol leptara dusu ke nawa se je bede nawa tsane mere ba re.
So Rinpoche says the way we were talking about the knowingness and clarity yesterday, we were talking from the general perspective of the definition of the mind. We were not talking from the perspective of the Great Perfection or Dzogchen teachings, which are very high-level teachings, so it's a different way of explaining it. And the way we explained it yesterday was based on the basic teachings of the pramana or valid cognition. What is the definition of the mind? The definition of the mind is that it has the qualities of knowing and clarity. So we're not talking about the high level of Dzogchen teachings where the same word may refer to the nature of mind. We were talking more about the general definition of our mind. And yes, excuse me. The Dzogchen, which I was saying, Dzogchen is a very high level. That time we do not even talk about appearances anymore. So it's beyond our understanding. It says the knowing quality, the Rigpa, as in the definition of the mind, is same like what Rinpoche was saying yesterday. Rig also means seeing. So it's like this capacity of knowing.
charging capsule ki charging capsule ta ngaso yang mo sawas shi ge wal mo sawas shi ta to the best that se thongbo ke jare wal re.
And that's why Rinpoche says also in Mahamudra we talk a lot about clarity, about the essence of the mind being clarity and like that. He says this is also high level definitions. Here we're talking more about the basic definition of the mind.
가장 가서 대시 자던데 지단기 지자기 돈에 당가서 시기 여러와 지 시자 창마라 지 잡도에 가서 시비 제레지 여러와 이 남자 통보 지부 많이 봐 시자 인서 창마라 가서 셈데 지 제레지 여러와 되기 돈에 대시 잡고 여러와.
So yesterday we were talking about more about the foundational qualities of the mind, the basic qualities, the knowingness and the clarity of the mind.
네. 근데 이제 가서 되네 가서 당가서 다다 테스 감지 잡나 그래와.
So maybe it's good if we do some meditation, if we begin with a meditation.
다대양 감대양 조대 나랑서 샘기 뭐라 다네.
So we just rest for a little while. We're looking at our mind, looking at the essence of our mind.
다다다 생기 싸위 생기랑시 싸와지로 되라 다나.
So we observe the characteristic of our mind, which is the clarity.
장마 갈수 그래. 다나양 감데 멘티네 로고서에 섬도 좋아다고 경성게 얘나 간대죠. 그러나
So Rinpoche is wondering what kind of experiences did you have? Did you wish that the meditation just continues, or were you waiting for it to end?
I kind of wish that it would just continue.
멘티네.
Anybody else? Raise your hand. Yeah?
야, 나이 안 왔어.
Me too.
그래. 다 초안다고 간den다고 좀 좋다고 semmo sawa tola chitangi semmo la tawa tsam chebare be yana sawa chala tebe kandere.
So did you just observe the mind, or did you also notice the clarity aspect of the mind? First or second, mind? Did you just look at the mind itself, or did you more observe the clarity aspect? One or two? Both?
At least we tried to observe also the clarity.
그렇지, 니자. 이제 인생 다 같이 답시 제인서 다 중요해 하고 먹었어.
그래.
You can say that the clarity is the cognizance quality of mind or not?
네, 살와데 샘 셰투야기 통투야기라고 디르베스
셈 통토베.
통투야기 젤레
사와세 셈 통토베 세나 지. 바지 통토베 젤레 인젤레. 그봐. 통토베 젤레당 띵이서나다 네차에 요면도 돼서.
네자
네차당 사차닌자 그봐. 제삼나 간데 인사래.
나서
사차 인사래 네차 인사래.
네자로 왼살에
네차 그봐. 그래서 네차 잘 좋지.
통투야디 릭파 말아.
그봐.
그래. So Rinpoche feels that clarity is more like this stability of the mind, this background stability, and the cognizing capacity is more like the rikpa, the knowingness.
지난번 가실란데 좋아했는데 당어서 센터 싸와래 라베 가서 봐. 내가 당어서 밑좀 되어라. 왜 나왔는데 그 좋아했는데 봐. 근데다 이용해서 말해.
So Rinpoche says when we say clarity, and if we are meditating with our eyes closed, I think you don't feel the clarity as some kind of light, right? Or yes?
You don't, or you feel.
That's the question.
야야.
No, they say.
No, right?
No.
어. 당 가서 나서 디 되게 돌아서만 딴거 알아. 다 신발 가리 준 게 미시. 아 진짜 싸웠어요. 니가 때서 나서 다 나서 빼는 로게 왜 싸웠어요. 근데 더 초와대 휴좀 내게도 와.
그래. 인지 안 된다래.
Light 직 여러 봐.
Yeah, so because we speak, it says the Tibetan word salwa also has to do with, that's why sometimes they say luminosity. It's like the light of electricity or the sun, or like this.
근데 내가 미좀 내들에 내가 일단 나홍도 레디 이나야 샘 코랑 게 제일 때는지 때 사위 차를 때 미기 통계도 상사들 연구도 와.
So Rinpoche feels even if our eyes are closed, then we're supposed to be in darkness, but in a way this clarity function of the mind, it makes us feel like we're seeing something.
This is not depend from the light, but it's depend of the inner. There is something.
디 어기 살와 말아 이나 셈바기 젤레 셈바기 누바
러버 이나야 다 나라 참도 싸워서 소소도 선만 당당 노르디게 연하 가리 미시라 때스 여기 싸워다고 저다고 때스 초르기 다 지겨라 소 선만 당당 때스 선만 만들기만 가리.
So that Rinpoche, he himself sometimes feels clarity is like illuminating things, like being able to see. So maybe he feels it's a little bit connected with light, but maybe it's his misunderstanding.
근데 더 용어도 봐. 올라서 때는 가장 아주 ngazo gamde ta test jela jamna raba tada ngazo khatang gi truten test man rona deshe kha yang.
So now we can go over the text a little bit, and maybe we can do more meditation later.
Ni mangbin nang ngala ta se the test dona.
So Rinpoche says now he has to be mindful of his speech because he's among many. He has to examine his speech.
Oh, las tini khatang shule sumbagi chugtela raba. Ta dring go chu yade rangsen nangdol mathu nas tini mang go chu go raba.
So we are in English on page 2, the last verse, which starts, unless mind is tamed within.
Oh, las tan digi kare segi do sena tene ta ngaso chi ngaso khala warda ngaso o ngala magangin ngala gangim mombondo dan ngala magangim mombondo raba tene yang mena nga chubo re do sa yana trombo re do raba raba tuso ki yewa changma tene sembi tone tan rogi yore se de o tende chiresha so tenja so.
So here, the next two verses are talking about what makes somebody our friend or our enemy. Actually, enemy is a little bit a strong word. It's something like somebody who likes us or somebody who doesn't like us. And then the second verse talks about being rich or being poor. So what these two verses are saying, that whether we have friends or enemies, or whether we are rich or poor, does not depend on external circumstances, but it depends on the perception of our mind. Unless the mind is tamed, and then the next verse, if contentment does not arise. So these two verses.
Ta diso pemeseki kechimbo re dawa re namji ngaso la ta mesin nangla ta kangal chesho deso dawa re.
So these are very important because our biggest problem in our lives come from this, from people not liking us and from feeling that we are poor or like this, and feeling that we are not rich or.
Te inde kapsu ta tambo de rangsen nangdu madon churu dala seba me se de mune tati demban dachi yore pena da suso sembande tru jimbe kapsu dachi na migi chi kare lapsona te madi share ndawo ti yongo do ba jaba.
And the first two lines, unless mind is tamed within, our enemies will be inexhaustible. This is very important because we can observe very clearly when our mind is kind of disturbed and upset. No matter what others say, we will see it as negative.
Teniya ngato de ngana pe semba chibu de yab kapsun da yin mena semba chibu de yab kapsun da yin semba pe chibu de yab kapsun da yin mi triyen do la so la jik dukjan de lab de ne samsa ko mi do.
But then on the other hand, sometimes when we are very happy, when we are okay, when we are feeling well, doesn't matter what the other person says. They might say something much worse than on the other occasion, but doesn't matter. We don't even hear it.
Samsa tela test ta dong ta kasi tela test ta donglen se gorta tela test mazo Asian da len be na tan chena banam chu da na.
So he says, if we go a little bit further, there is a mudra that we do here in the West. When something like this happens, we just do like.
semla o tanga Kongtrul lang so tanga thoba jaga do tende yongum dawa.
So it will like when we are feeling okay like this, then we will never get angry or feel like we have to fight with that person. It's just like whatever.
Pena tak so yang Kongtrul lang ni pena room la de do na. Ra. Mi chi ke. Good morning, good morning. La pena. Pe Kongtrul lang do la. Ta jas. Ta get out loud again.
He says if we are angry, then even if we are sitting by ourselves in our room and then somebody knocks on the door and says good morning and opens the door and looks and says good morning, we will say get out, leave me alone.
Good morning, good morning.
In a very nice way, say good morning, very sweet. So maybe the nicer they say, the more we get annoyed. So anger is also something which is our habit. So Rinpoche also has some experience about this. So when he first came to India from Tibet, the other monks, they looked at him and they said, "Oh, you have some Khampa blood in you." He says maybe it's because when he was young he lived at Chandra in Tibet, and there were very few people around him, and all those who were around him, they were very close to him, kind of he didn't have to pretend, he didn't have to be polite or anything. He says sometimes when they would make very nice food and they would bring to him, it would be totally okay to say, "Take that away, I'm not hungry." That's a normal thing when you with people you're close. So even if they brought some delicious food, because he didn't feel like eating, he would feel like a little bit kind of almost angry, kind of why are you bringing this here? So he says that time he was a little bit like that. Not a little bit, a lot. So because this is a habit, so because you keep doing it and then it becomes a very strong habit. So then when he came to India, it was very different. He lived in a monastery with 100 or 200 monks. So with them, he has to live with them every day, looking at each other's faces, so they have to see each other every day. So then it becomes naturally that you have to take care a little bit more. You have to be a little bit more careful how you behave. So even if somebody says something, then he pretends he didn't hear. But he says at first, even though he didn't react, he didn't show a reaction outwardly, he would still get a little bit upset in his mind.
이네 소소문에 남주 가인 때문에 봐서 파주되기 도자 남주 때문에 말아. 뜻제라 파주되기 양자 거기야 대낭신 애신데 용음에도 와. 근데 그 가지고 뜻제라 게모 쇼드다. 지금 대해서 소소에 당신 뭐 샘블로제 다기데 템바제 사원 하시되다.
So, but then because he didn't react, then the other person would also not kind of not get upset because of that, and the other person would see that he didn't mind, kind of that he didn't care what the other person was saying. So then it was almost like the other person would start laughing after a while, and then he would also become happy. So he would notice that it is not necessary to react in a negative way.
근데 인사 지단계 맞아 공부하는 다하고 냠도 되고 이제 정말라 지 띵고야 돼 감시대 숙침보여 띵고 감시 숙침보여 인자 되네 랑신 콘도 사이로 배나가 줄래 예 제가 난 예고 배나 배나다 배나 저런 걸 따면도 라베나 그래 공부하는 토하고나 요 말다.
So he says in the monastery then you have to kind of to learn to be in harmony with everyone. You have to live with everyone and not be too sensitive about things. And he says in the monastery it's also quite normal that you look at somebody and you say something which is maybe not so nice. Like for example you could say, oh, you have no hair today, or something like this, which sometimes people would get upset about it, but it becomes normal, like it's not a problem.
지도 추기 그런 클럽자기 레든 이네 고치 니만 미몽보냐 된 대고 와인자 뛰냐게 대 감시 추침 보이는데 랑신게 게마 담보 뛰엔세 테스트 우수 잡고라 뛰엔세 우수 잡고라 치스 우수 잡고만 랑신 그때 차도 그러고 초아요만 이도 저는 초아도 뉴뉴를 그래.
So it says a little bit is because of the influence of the Dharma, but a little bit is also because you have to live together with everyone, so you have to be in harmony in a way. You have to find a way to live happily together. So at the beginning you have to work on it a little bit, but then after this becomes also a new habit, and then it becomes natural that you are in harmony with everyone.
근데 인자 되는 가서 참참 콘트롤이 니미트서 라상마타야다 찍기와 그봐 찍게.
So one thing that is important for us to do is sometimes to contemplate on the faults of anger.
님바데 가서 감시 소야시도 봐. 감시 담보 소디가 소소 참다양직 미셴바라 파로라 고르고르조다오 게 초다오 렙시바라 저봐. 이나데 담보 가서를 마타 치스든 레기 말에. 치스디 감시데 테스트네 중바이나 되네 소소라 베펜도 첨보여.
So, and then Rinpoche says the second thing is to try to create the habit not to be short-tempered, not to get angry so easily, because in the long term this will be very beneficial for us and for everyone around us. And he says at the beginning we might find it a little bit difficult because we have the habit of getting angry. So if we do not allow ourselves to be angry, we feel like we are kind of, I don't know what to say, kind of we are giving the victory to the other person, kind of having to letting them do what they want. But this is, Rinpoche says, it's also only at the beginning. Then after a while, when it becomes a habit for us not to get angry, we will not even notice anymore.
대체 드네 님바데다 나서 셈라 추시 마시는 녹은 자면 종본다 현로준지 추시는 상신인데 따도 축세지도와 다 데레.
So this completes the first verse. Unless mind is tamed within, outer enemies will be inexhaustible. If you tame the anger within, all enemies on earth will be pacified. And then the second verse says, if contentment does not arise within your mind, even if you have everything you could ever want, you will be like a beggar. Those who are content and rid of clinging are always rich even without possessions.
맞아 몰라레바게 공개 가르치는 담블리는 초초 나이 송바라 그래.
And with this kind of attitude, because of this kind of attitude, Milarepa was always saying, I'm the richest person on earth. But probably you all know how rich was Milarepa, right?
Nimachi malare basala kuma le do chen la kuma re.
So one day during the night, a thief came into Milarepa's cave.
Yes, right. Re. Tini kuma de ke pe mangpo chel do me de chen chala de.
And the thief was kind of looking around and checking everything.
Tini tis malare ba chen do de chen de ga malare ba o da chungone da mi sonam chenpo jingsa res.
And then Milarepa noticed him after a while, and then he says, "Oh, you're a very fortunate person."
Ngaki mingung ngaki chala chena yang ngake nang raba ta pun mingung ngi chala chena yang ngarang rali mindu sira charang gi gonda chena ngal le cho chala ra de permis sonam chembo.
So he told him, during the day when I look for something in my cave, I can't find anything. There is nothing here. So you're very lucky if you can find something during the night.
Then because malare pa khonangi choa nangla rabala. One tani gi chi ngarang changma yu samsang thamma o ngala de mindu samsang de choa de zan mindu wa de choa zan mindu wa.
So Milarepa was very extraordinary in the sense that he always felt that he has everything. He never felt, I don't have this, I don't have that, I need this, I need that.
Maybe maybe.
So he had no suffering of kind of lacking anything. And he also had no suffering of having something. Because he had nothing, so even if a thief came, he would just tease the thief. So didn't have the suffering of having things, of having to protect what he has.
Oh, mi shambala didu ngala de gosare sam tendre ki pa kamsing yamba shobaji yongo dowa ta tendre la thola te chunsin che thona deba.
So actually we do need things. All of us needs to have things to survive, to live. It is not talking about this, about not having anything. It is talking about this kind of this sense of discontent, of always wanting more, of always looking for something, always feeling like not having enough. So it's not talking about not having anything. It's talking this verse is telling us to be content with what we have and not to kind of always want more, always look for something, always crave something.
Oh, los. Tene nimba te dan dene ma. Jikten Java Likpata, Chudo Gava, Drubet, Semla Gava, Jeva, Pachati, Turiti, Tenyamata, Koan, Gavin, Tepana, Tomba, and Tanam, Chudan Jigin, Java, and Mali, Dunga Chuma, Kondo Shedan, Dojas, Yomoto, Begin, and Susum, the Jevit, Teji Dungasum, Yomodonga, Kanji, Romote, Tomba, Tele, Lona. Me, Ransin, the Manta, the Tato, Ransin, Soma, Ches, Tele, Lona, Mies, Ransin, the Mandavi, Tato, Ransin, Soma, Ches, on Tipado. Lojana chi. Tado rongsen song jis.
So then the next section reads, when you accomplish wholesome worldly activities as well as dharma and virtues, habitual tendencies arouse mental joy. This causes you to take birth in the higher realms. That is also impermanent, it is samsara. When looking at the essence of joyful feelings, you see they are empty, and this is a cause for the path of liberation. Suffering arises from unwholesome spiritual and worldly activities. If you follow after thoughts and afflictions, such as hatred, anger, and desire, it will cause you to take birth in the 3 lower realms. To be born in any of them brings about unimaginable torment. Whatever afflictions or sufferings occur, by looking at their essence, they vanish into emptiness. There is no way for wisdom to revert from that state. To not separate your mind from this and always guard your mind is critical. So to summarize the meaning of these verses,
pena gevi pena devi ki jo gevi lo chiwa gevi lo te dub goya ba tene dunga ki jo nyomong chora te tor goya te de sungi.
So what this is talking about the relative practice of kind of accomplishing the causes of happiness, which is practicing virtue, and kind of giving up the causes of suffering, which is the wrongdoing on or non-virtue.
Tati ngaso jamgön doji changi ngaso maimba sumyo benane maimba tambuki nyamne konsun rogerwa de re.
Tene maimba dampu tigi minkare maim jikten la maing ra.
Ren jikten la maing re.
Koso di hakoge marakashi. So what this is talking about is when Guru Vajradhara says there are three ways of not getting distracted or three ways of not getting lost. This speaks about the first one: do not get lost in worldly activities.
Tene nimba dela tadi tenda zo tambo de imba tenda nimba zo di karatu ngori se de kapso tangazo gevi akarso devi ki jo gevi lo ta sabu do sun samlo legire tene dunga ki jo onyomo reja te me paso ko do sun samlo le yong de kapso ta ya chi ki nyomon se de kapso chi yora nyomon se de kapso pete dran jin re sun ki maga wata ya tene gevi lo se yapo re sun pete shobe chen cha che na ti chena yang ti ki mares riba o tende sun re.
So then the second step in this practice, first is kind of to practice correctly in the worldly sense, to practice virtue and to abandon things that are negative. And then the second step after this is when we practice like this, it may happen that we see everything, every negative state of mind, every negative emotion as really bad, like we start to kind of we start to be afraid of them, and we get attached to any positive state of mind. So the second step is to avoid doing that. So this speaks about the second way of not getting lost in the Dharma. So to understand what the Dharma means, what it means to create the causes of happiness and to abandon the causes of suffering, how to do it without getting, without experiencing too much attachment and aversion. But Rinpoche says, in a way, we do not have to worry too much of having too much attachment to good things. So we do not need to worry about that too much. So we can leave that be for a while. Yeah, but maybe what is more relevant for us is to see all the negative states of mind, all the suffering, all the negativity as empty, kind of, to see the meaninglessness of all of that.
What in the Costa de la Suzuki Nyomobi, the Jesumina, and take a Korangi Mola, Tagore, Sonda de Tasha Bayanatini, Nyomong, Susu Nyomogi on the Mando and which it in the Chagri Sungiorba. Nyomo Dungakan Yuramoti Tomba Yalse, do the sick Tirva.
So what we have to practice is, it says, whatever afflictions or sufferings occur, by looking at their essence, they vanish into emptiness. So any negative state of mind that occurs, usually we are afraid of that, we don't like it. We think it's very bad, we shouldn't be experiencing that. But actually what the right way of doing this is just look at the essence of this negative state of mind, and when we do that, it will disappear into emptiness, it will vanish.
Nima Jamgön Kongtrul Lodrö Chunjung Kapsutini Lama Chikita Matu trekking Sevora, Nekor Sevora, trekking Dawar Mare, Tende Nekor Doshola, Tende Songidosti, Kong Chimbai, Chinde Kapsu, Tene Karsegore, Kong Be Tangche, Riva, Tene Trogoto, Tende Pechon Song.
So when Jamgön Kongtrul Lodrö Thaye was very young, one of his masters told him that he should go for a pilgrimage, and then he did go for pilgrimage, but then during that pilgrimage he found it very difficult. He was very tired and hungry, he didn't have enough food.
Lama degi oh tapu tende kale chako mares tende sinjenra tatene chu kala ka charangi charang toko to pata tene sem kale ka tagarang chi tirang chu chi pa sem ti ta shoda songs right.
So he went on pilgrimage together with this master, and then when Jamgön Kongtrul was very tired and very hungry and he was complaining to his teacher, the teacher looked at him and said, "Oh, my dear child, if you're tired and if you're hungry, look at the very essence of this experience of tiredness and hunger, and you will see the nature of your mind."
Kongi tende tadi kapso tende rangshin gide tagi trogo toi chowa te na ni kale kabi chowa te inga te ni ka pa yawa na ji chung song song.
And when he tried to look in that way, he was able to do it, and immediately all the tiredness and hunger disappeared.
Tene chis kong ta pa masige cham yen bu shu ji ta tawa thombo chaji chimbe ka tawa ni be kapso tin kongi chimik ta diga jabla chik ta diga so dikap ki ta semgi chik tarwa basic tagarang reshas ti ta diga dikap shin ni ta semu ta ye gochupa tene reshas basic dikap gochu sha sung semla ta ye semla mo ta ye.
So then later Jamgön Kongtrul Lodrö Thaye, he did lots of retreat and lots of practices, and he practiced Mahamudra and everything, and he attained a very high state of realization and recognition of the nature of mind. And at that time, when he looked back, he said during that pilgrimage was the first time he recognized the nature of mind. This was his first experience of the nature of mind, based on which he later developed the final realization of the nature of mind.
Oh, las tene ta tene ma ta do karso ta do rang sin chungwa de chu song wala chu ki de song zu shiwa sin do temba de tanjen be be dan te ta tamu jar se ji wala ti kar song gor sin ta ani kya se shiwa la ge ta khon la ta thame gi rekul chi yes bares re.
And then the text continues.
Tamu jan re.
The entirety of the Dharma is encapsulated in guarding your mind. The Bodhisattva Shantideva spoke of how to guard the mind. For those who wish to guard their minds, this is brought about by mindfulness and introspection. As is said, all should diligently guard their minds. I fold my hands in reverence to such persons. So Shantideva said that he folds his hands in respect and reverence to people who are able to guard their minds. So what he's saying here is that mindfulness and introspection are the two main tools for anybody who wishes to guard their minds. So this is the tools that we use in order to be able to guard our minds. So mindfulness in a way is not forgetting the instructions, not forgetting what we need to remember. So the Tibetan word shijin, which is here translated as introspection, it's kind of introspection is kind of observing or guarding whether we are mindful or not. So it's kind of it's an additional kind of watchman of mindfulness. So mindfulness needs the recollection, the remembering what we have to remember, and then we also need the introspection, which keeps checking whether we are mindful or not. In the Bodhicharya Avatara by Shantideva, he explained this through an example. So our mind, Shantideva explained through 3 examples: the example of an elephant, the example of the rope, and then the example of the person holding the rope, right? These are the examples of our mind. So our mind, the negative states of our mind are like a crazy elephant. So then what we use to tame this crazy elephant, to prevent it from running around and kind of causing so much damage, is the rope, and this rope represents mindfulness. And then the person holding the rope and kind of controlling the elephant represents this introspection, this watchfulness of our mind. So our negative states of mind are represented by the elephant. The mindfulness is represented by the rope, and the introspection is represented by the person holding the rope. So then the next line is Jamgön Kongtrul Lodrö Thaye's instruction. He's saying to practice in accordance with what is said here is critical. So it is very important that we practice like this. So then the next verse, it says that being so, the 6 collections of consciousness and all appearing objects are simply the magical display of mind's nature. Thus, it is a mistake to think there is some agent who practices adoption and rejection. Then the Ronyam Lamchero. even though taking things onto the path as an equal taste is supreme. So this we'll talk about the next section. But Diyankashi Sundandi, Karasungir. So what he's saying here is that ultimately, so before we spoke about the relative practice, and then this is talking about the ultimate practice. Ultimately, it is a mistake to think that there is someone who has to practice what to adopt and what to reject. So ultimately, there is nothing to adopt and nothing to reject. So then the next one is very important for us. It says, even though taking things onto the path as an equal taste is supreme, for the beginner, let your view be high and your practice precise. So what this is talking about is when we do a lot of study the Dharma, and after a while we feel like okay, now I understood. I understand everything. I know everything. So I know everything is the mind.
Yeah.
So probably there is no need to practice. There is no need to do prostrations. Why should I do prostrations? So there is no need to make offerings. So we might think that since everything is in the mind, then we can just sit like this and everything will be accomplished. Because we know that ultimately there is no virtue, there is no negative actions, there is no me, there is no you, there is no this room is not here. So how this happens is that because we have learned a lot, we know a lot, then we developed some kind of pride. Oh, now I know everything, now I understand everything. But this only shows that we do not really understand emptiness. Maybe we understand the words of emptiness, but we do not understand the meaning of those words. So one monk made a very nice video about this. So in this video, this monk was reading the kanjur aloud, and then there was a lot of saying, this is emptiness, that is emptiness, everything is emptiness, and so forth. So then he closed the text and he says, oh, everything is emptiness. So behind him there was a window. So he threw the cup just through the window, says, everything is emptiness. Then he took the pen, he says, oh, the pen is emptiness, he threw it. He was giving a kind of advice. What he was trying to say is that it is very dangerous to misunderstand emptiness in that way.
right?
So what here is it is saying that when as beginners what we have to do is we have to be mindful of any small positive or negative actions that we can do, and we have to use every opportunity to do something good, and kind of not do even a small negative action. So, for example, even if we walk on the street, on the road, or like this, and we see a small bug crossing the road, we just put it on the side. We save a life through that. So we should use any opportunity to do something good. Even though we should not think everything is emptiness, nothing matters, and like this. As a beginner, we have to be very mindful of our actions. So what he's saying, it says, as it says here, for the beginner, let your view be high. So it's okay if we have very high understanding, if we understand the ultimate meaning of emptiness and so forth. But when it comes to our actions, we have to be very mindful of our actions and make sure that we do our best to do anything, any even small positive actions, and give up even small negative actions. So then the next section. So the next section, which says, as it is said, the human form with its freedoms and advantages is hard to find. Thinking over and over about death and impermanence give rise to certainty about the infallibility of karma and its effects. When you see or hear of another's death, know it to be a warning for you. When you notice the changes from summer to winter, recall that everything is impermanent. When you catch sight of bees with their honey, know that possessions are unnecessary. When you see a house or town that is empty, consider it as your own home or dwelling. When you see others have parted ways with their friends, recall your own close relations. When things suddenly happen to others against their will, remember that such things could happen to you as well. So what he's saying here is explaining how, in what way our conduct should be very precise and very detailed. And mainly it is talking about the 4 thoughts that turn the mind away from samsara. So then the second section is the path of skillful means and wisdom.
Rangsin tamki melam tar seido rangsin tamki melam tar demba chuba dutan me rangsin suchu malepa nyumi rangu chongwe se chuna chuki tombani satong sonju karda tu tene töndim changsen yin tedar mashin roba sonju onge kowa cham dongar nyongla tseme ki hingi chöme shukla chi tene kinzu changsen yin hinjin zime topar tu tope rangsan hingi ya sonju donga chuchi yin nyamne pukpu ndila nzuyos tade lam tapshi sonjil Gores fitting Gores.
So this section, until the end of page 4, self and other, everything is a dream. There isn't even the slightest thing which is truly established. When you maintain the natural state as it is, without spoiling or fabricating your mind, the emptiness of all inner and outer phenomena is realized to be the sky-like union of clarity and emptiness. That is ultimate bodhicitta. Migrating beings who do not realize this wander in samsara under the influence of dualistic apprehension. Limitless and unfabricated compassion naturally arises for those who undergo such torment. This is relative bodhicitta. Without grasping at compassion, realize its emptiness. Compassion, the spontaneous energy of emptiness, will emerge. Union is the essence of the teachings of sutra and mantra. You should engage in this profound practice. So what is talking here is that the path we have to follow is to practice the skillful means and wisdom in union, the compassion and wisdom in union.
Voilà. Tan dikas tanda zo kare rese dikapso toni tobi sherap che reba di sherap reba tabshini no sherap reba tene tabdela ni shegido dendam jangsen dam kinjop jangsen ni shegido re.
So what we're talking here, the wisdom is the realization of emptiness, and then the skillful means refer to bodhicitta, which has two kinds of bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. So usually, probably all of you have heard, in Buddhism we talk about the 5 paths. And the final, the 5th path, refers to the Buddhahood, the final realization of Buddhahood. And then the other 4 talk about the path to reach there. So out of these 5 paths, the first 2 is the path of accumulation and the path of joining. So during the first 2 paths, we understand emptiness, but we do not directly see, we do not directly realize emptiness. So during these 2 paths, what we practice the union of skillful means and wisdom. So for the skillful means, we practice the relative bodhicitta, and as wisdom, we practice understanding emptiness and kind of working towards realizing emptiness. So the first path, the path of accumulation, is completed once we develop the realization of relative bodhicitta in our mind. So, and then the path of joining. At that time, we do not directly realize emptiness, but we develop some experience of emptiness in our meditation. So then the third one, the path of seeing, we reach once we directly realize emptiness.
kinzo jangseng lo te ma to medowa tanto jangseng lo ma ta thonam kapsu toni ngosum de to lo je ba kan shi la teni ngoso tendem jangseng lo te je gi yores te
So during the path of seeing, together with the direct realization of emptiness, we also develop the realization of the ultimate bodhicitta. Before we only practice the relative bodhicitta.
Teni thonam de je la galam se je go ba ta galam se de kading ko chu gir sen ta ta gi toni ngosum de to cha wi je toni ngosum to cha je la teni ta dong ya lo de ta kang ne ta do phe je ba ding sab san doi je ra ta ti ka su galam je ko chu go res.
So then the fourth path is the path of meditation, and this path consists of this direct realization of emptiness, which we have developed. Then we continue practicing it until and continue kind of increasing and deepening this realization. And once all these four paths are completed, then we have attained enlightenment or Buddhahood. So after that it says the method for having such things arise in your mind stream is to accumulate a wealth of merit. Take all of it into your own hands. Yeah, so these two is actually saying that we accumulate as much merit as we can. This is what we dedicate our effort. So how do we accumulate merit? The next 6 lines explain that, which say, pray to the 3 jewels, take devotion to the Guru as the vital point, encourage yourself and others to avoid wrongdoing, and however you can, engage in virtue. Do not separate yourself from the bodhicitta of the great vehicle. The great vehicle here is the Mahayana, nor from pure dedication of your merit. So all this entire section explains the verse that was on the previous page, which said, for the beginner, let your view be high and your practice precise. So practice precise actually means the conduct, your conduct should be precise. So all these verses explain how to practice conduct, how to practice. So this part which explains how to accumulate merit is usually explained as the three excellencies. It's called the 3 excellent elements of the practice. And the first of the 3 excellences is the excellent preparation, which refers to any practice that we do. We first practice refuge and bodhicitta at the beginning of any practice. So this is described here in the text. The refuge is pray to the 3 jewels, take devotion to the Guru as the vital point. And then when it says below, do not separate yourself from the bodhicitta of the great vehicle, that talks about bodhicitta. So then the second excellency is the excellent main body of the practice, which is here described by saying, encourage yourself and others to avoid wrongdoing, and however you can, engage in virtue. So this is the main practice of the conduct, as mentioned before.
Tene tamadela juk moa tambasa de kaso namda moa ndal media se do ha tires.
And then the third excellency is the excellent conclusion, which means that anything we do, we conclude it with pure dedication. That's why it says, do not separate yourself from the pure dedication of your merit.
Hola, do dena ta tambo ane jamdo yapoche, tene senche yapoche, tene soso mushi nyamne gedi longdo mushi nyamne karina teche, tamadela moa yapoche se do tires.
So, in essence, what this is saying is that anything that we do and any virtue that we practice, accumulate, first we generate refuge and bodhicitta, then we do the actual practice, the any positive activity or practice that we are doing, and at the end we always dedicate our merit for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Hola, te kapso ta kandarja ta ngaramso chitange ngaso moase de pemise ke chimbo ringsare re.
So in whatever we do, dedication is very important.
Tene hoa ki pen is shegdo re.
It is said that there are two benefits of dedication.
Chite susuki ta gewa karesa yonti ki ta ti kariche de imba tela ta tha motuya tela ta susu mi yu kan imba ta susu lega chigi na lega cheba de ta susu mi yu jora te mi yu tol ta min tuya ro te go pa chikche.
So the first purpose is that whatever any good thing that we do, if we dedicate it immediately, then we have the possibility to dedicate it for whatever we wish to accomplish through that.
Tene imba de ta imba ge phen kare resna seba me pa lagdo wa tin hoa de susu ta tring gewa sa pe na tela hoa ya ko jaw sha pe na ti gewa te ki ta nipa jor wa te pe music kang do phe pen thog res re.
And the second benefit is that by dedicating any good thing that we do, it becomes inexhaustible. It does not get used up by something meaningless, but its power and its benefits are just going to increase and increase if we are able to do a proper dedication.
Pena moa de yabo maje ba yana pena ngaso samjang mi khase pe musiki niba chimbo yo kangsi la leka yan dukja jnyong che de chi do wa tu su trate gewa maje ban mares teti khare ji ma huwa ya ko matine teni chungba se teni shek do khare san ko niba chimbo ye de ko gewa sa ne ya ko chen chenga ma ya ko chen ko niba chimbo char ba ina ye huwa ya ko maje yin da teni ko ta da de nima ya ko che ba de pyeche lo ba tan yin chi ba o teni chungba.
So if we do not dedicate it, then there is the danger also that we might not it might end up producing a result that we do not wish to achieve. So, for example, Rinpoche says even the people who have a very great power and use it to do bad things, this power does not come from doing bad things. It comes from doing good things, but it comes from not dedicating it for something good, but just leaving it there. And then the person gets to have so much power, and because they did not dedicate the virtue to attain a good result, then this power will be used for something negative. So even somebody who is very negative, they do not have the power from doing negative things. They have the power from having done good things in the past. That's why dedication is very important. So at the end, usually we do at the end of any practice, we do two things usually. One is the dedication of merit, and one is the aspirations. So there is some difference between dedication and aspiration.
디치나바 칭에 여베.
Do you know what is the difference?
타마테나 모람 야기요레 모아인 지기요르바. 여바.
Because at the end of every practice, right, we do the dedication and aspirations.
The aspiration is the purpose of I dedicate this for this purpose, for benefit others. So the aspiration that what I do benefits all beings.
Kongi sena di malam saya di nganso gewa drubia di tene miul karela miul taktala ngowa cheva.
라 모람 세티체.
The-
데네 모아 세디.
And dedication?
The dedication, the merit that we accumulate with the practice, I dedicate for this purpose, for the aspiration.
Korang kita nanti ngowa da molam dau da waris.
다우라레스.
Ngowa saya di ta molam chedu ngowa chegiresa.
알레.
Anybody else?
Well, in a way, I think dedication is accumulation of merits, and aspiration is, in a way, accumulation of wisdom.
Kogi tana ngowa saya di sunam git sok drabo. Tene molam saya di yeshi git sok drabo resa.
오. 알레. 레. 다 나들이 덴바직 제사도라.
So today he forgot something.
미 히마 모아도 말람기 체버주라. 이때스 띠띠 심주시 제베. 네.
So in the past, once he did some research on what is the difference between dedication and aspiration.
이나야 다다 디나 테스트 되는 세부치 제나발에 슈에 세부지 민도 되라다.
And he vaguely remembers doing that research, but he does not remember clearly enough to be able to explain it to us.
이나야 제나발에 간지는 게 라서 제나발이 마음발라 티 하고에 된다 디지는 또 슈샤베. 그래. 알아시에 요니 게게 드리범.
So the reason why he asked us what we think is in order to create an interest in us to do some research into this topic, to find out what is the difference.
그래서나 남중 아주 뭐딱 뭐가 제거를 뭐남 제거를 세디가 티 오네기 제벌 줘라. 아주 짠이 도나 되게 믿을라. 도나 맞는데 하 공연 윤유 차기로 도나 되게 윤유 이바체. 티강라다 도나 맞는 하고요 말어. 도나 되는 하 공연 델레주 윤게다 봐.
So Rinpoche says usually at the end we just say, oh, now we do dedication and aspiration, and then we just do the prayers. So he says sometimes it's good to think about words that we use, and we do not think about it because we have no interest. So he was trying to awaken our interest.
네. 나기 히마 다다 디 까마바 kunting 예바기 용진지여다. 용진지여 까마틀레이션이지. 저발 까마틀레이션. 콩기 이때지 통수. 콩기 뭐와도 말음니라 체바 미지여래서. 미지선 생각을 봐. 미지선 말음 임바체. 말음 임바 간실라 뭐와 마임바. 뭐와 임바 간실라 말음 마임바.
Okay.
뭐와도 말음 인자 인긴. 저봐. 단 인자 마잉이도 여러. 네. 네.
Okay, so Rinpoche says he remembers he saw one text written by the tutor of the 8th Karmapa, who was his name was Karma Chinle. So he said that there are 4 options. There are some things that they are a dedication, but they are not an aspiration. There are some things, some prayers that are an aspiration, but they are not a dedication. Then there are some prayers which are both a dedication and aspiration, and of course there are some texts which are neither. So he said there are 4 possibilities, and all 4 are there.
Yeah. Re. Then miji. Re.
Very complicated.
Re. Tati many labs in this area.
Maybe we can say there are two options.
Because Ninga mind but the Tessa Mindorva.
Because something that is neither a prayer or not an aspiration doesn't matter.
Yeah. Ta Ninja Imbate ta Ching the Lhawang.
Something that is both is easy, so doesn't matter that much.
Mola Imbate, Mola Imbacancilla, more my imbate, Tati Ravate Chicale.
So what is complicated is something that is an aspiration but not a dedication, and something that is a dedication but it is not an aspiration.
Things I take condition chinamba, think more the mom said, only training kitchen but I in so they cut the in that mixed chanting.
And why is Rinpoche talking about this is because dedications and aspirations are extremely important, but we always tend to mix them up.
And they are
So if we do this, it's both. This for aspiration we do it, for dedication we do it. So it's not. We're not sure.
All us. And then thingy the Jimangi and Jessie Tadaba, you should just check. Thingy Chela Puyon, Chela Puyon. Tinona Sebu to the middle, think Chela Pulchera. Tini Puche, check the engine and you think on number shed.
So Rinpoche will do a research again into this topic, and once he is clear, he will send it to me and I can share with you.
Yeah. Tindinan test Narangoni cast this sort of Tinana de Senshi Shamido. Shepherd the she Yorela Matoji Shamidra in that and Jessie and this Carson Tontona.
Yeah. So maybe in that text this is not exactly clearly explained, so he will do some research until he comes to a conclusion, and then he will share that with us. Yeah, because as we said, dedication and aspiration is very important for any practice that we do. So it is important that we know how to do it correctly and what each of them means. So then is the conclusion. The spiritual practitioner known as Lodrö Thaye, an old yogin who does nothing but eat, sleep and defecate, composed this to clear up some things for Devendra, a virtuous-minded person whose magnificent qualities are like the waxing moon. May you have long life and master Dharma practice, and may the twofold benefit be spontaneously accomplished. Sarva Siddhirastu Mangalam. So with this, the explanation of this text is complete. So Rinpoche says he did his best to explain this text. Actually, when he first read the text, it looked very simple, but then when you try to explain, it's not so easy. So it is good if we sometimes read this text again and again. So I told to Rinpoche that Gyalto Rinpoche has this text in his daily practices and he reads it every day. So there's still a few minutes left, so if any of you has any questions.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for coming to give us this teaching.
Yeah, you first.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about relative and absolute bodhicitta?
Kunzop simche dan dundan simche kare impati traditional nans.
다음서 kinzo simche sede kapsuro wala. 코랑기 mikpaji yor wala. Mikpa de tene simjin rangla migi yores re.
So the relative bodhicitta, it is relative because it involves an object, which is all the beings, all the sentient beings.
이나야 된덤 장신세 주로와 된덤 장신세데 다게 통람바다 다 건엄바 되지 누가 코나마데네 냠바라 샤진 백갑스키 되네 장주그 셈비 자기 요레스.
And then the ultimate bodhicitta is something that cannot be practiced or understood until one attains the realization, like the path of seeing, the realization or direct realization of emptiness. And then ultimate bodhicitta is something which only arises in meditation.
가리레스나 디갑수 코나 셈젠데 긴조 자기 요르와 긴조 자기 요르와
Because in a way sentient beings are relative.
긴조 자기 요르와 근데 코나 디가서 긴조 베나 자완이니 요 말이다.
But somebody who has attained the path of seeing, in their meditation they have no relative appearances anymore.
데인데 갑수 코나데니 셈젠게 나와데 디갑수 요 말이.
So there is no perception of sentient beings anymore. There is no duality of subject and object.
데인데 갑수 다 이나야 코랑기다 힘미기다 심진담지 동아 단되기 로당 근데 대화 된되기 로데다 슉 침부지 여러봐 슉 침부시부지 여러봐 슉 침부기다 찍서 가서 되게 바찬다고 세고 되게 네빠다고 다동이 코랑나데 슉다 찍 쳐줘요 다 코랑나 찍 쳐줘라고
But even though someone has attained this high level of realization, because in order to attain this realization, they had to have very strong bodhicitta, very strong wish for sentient beings to be free from suffering and for sentient beings to obtain happiness. Even though now they're beyond duality, this kind of the imprints or the power of this wish is still in their mind. So the power of this wish then produces this experience of the ultimate bodhicitta. So if somebody asks him, do you remember your mother? Miss, or do you miss your mother? Do you miss your mother all the time?
Yes, no.
So is he supposed to say yes or no?
Yes,
Of course he has to say yes, right? But then if somebody asks him, while you sleep, do you still miss her? So we can still say, yes, I do miss my mother even while I'm sleeping, but this thought does not occur in the mind while we sleep, right? We do not see the face of our mother, but the kind of let's say the imprint, the power of that is still there. But ultimate bodhicitta is a little bit difficult to explain very precisely. Because it becomes really difficult when there is no perception of sentient beings to understand what kind of state of mind do we have.
Yeah.
There was some more.
Rinpoche, could you explain in a very simple way
the difference between Rantong and Shintong, it was why for the 8 Taisitupa, I think, was so important to assume is correct, the Shentong view.
Small question, simple question.
잘했어요. 네.
다 랑동단 셴덕이 제발가레레스 제시겨라나스 때는 시도 주시 중에 데 셴덕이 따와 켈렌나야 데
견제 잘했어.
말에 개천 보임 백균선 가레레스
개천 보임 백균선. 뭐 개천 보임 백균선 가레레스 너봐.
나서
너봐. 티가서 별라 셴동 따와 데테스 냠도 있어레스.
So first, to answer the second question, why was it important for the 8th Taisitu to accept and practice the Shentong view? One reason is that at that time the Shentong view was about to disappear in Tibet.
대인도 빼는 가서 미니 여배나 그나가 미니가라 다 야고 펜토 걸어 이나야 미 깔레카데라 데스 다 당보 프로파제샤나 남 데스 meaningful 말에 대해서 숙취야 말에 펜도 숙취야 말에 된다고 지베 기타 맞습니다.
So for example, if there are two persons in front of us and one person is much weaker and not doing well, so then of course it will become important for us to help that person first, right? So it's kind of to help that which is weak.
뒤직지르바 대딩 가서 주당기 다당 조직이르바 추진은 가서는 그런 게 바지지시나 따와 코랑 문이지 양 체벌 유지를 something 도스
So this is one perspective, but Rinpoche feels another perspective is also from the point of view of the view itself, the Shentong view.
뒤직 니네다 양 코랑기 지 고칭하마게 되는 양지 인지다 말랑이 원게 된게 양 지 체벌한테 유지를 했어요.
And it was definitely also an outcome of the aspirations of the previous Taisitus also that this event happened at that time.
네. 니네 가르치는 도서는 페나마 속에다 페나 취직부 왕 페나 왕지 대비는 나 왕지 대비나 왕지 대비인다 왕들이 그런지 배 집어라 봐. 이나야 나랑 수다 대화 책이여 봐. 아랑 개왕 남아이나 다 세리슨 대화치기나 디디 왕데 대샤베는 펜도 책이를 봐. 근데 코로나가 도시요 봐.
So also in a way we can exemplify this with if somebody gives an empowerment, the empowerment text does not have less or more value, but actually where the value is in the connection which Rinpoche has with this practice from his previous lifetime. So if the text is the same no matter who gives the empowerment, but somebody who has a special connection from previous lifetimes with that particular practice, when they give that empowerment, it will work. The blessings will be more powerful, right? So it's something like that. So it's the connection through many lifetimes.
Right.
So Rinpoche feels that is the reason. And then the difference between the Rangtong and Shentong?
근데서보다 이게 지당기 랑당 세대값으로 최탐지로 최탐지 봐 라니 그 동바 마도 라니 그 마동에 짠이 요 말에서기다 그런 게 동바에서보다.
So actually what the Rangtong view says is that everything is complete, everything is empty. There is nothing that is not empty, and Rangtong means Rang means self, and Tong means empty. So it is empty in itself.
네. 옌동 세대 가서 봐. 옌동 세대 가서 가려고 그랬으나 최탐지 라니 동바 마인바 최카시지 그런 마도나 옌기 동바 해봐. 네. 라브에스.
This is very easy to translate. And then the Shentong view. Shen means other,
Yeah.
and Tong means empty. So what this means is that some things are empty of itself, but some things are not empty of itself, but they're empty of everything else except of being itself. Very clear.
Then Ina Tadila pe chepa chimbo yorda. Pena pena gelupa ge tradition the jebing na. Tende is a kozogi tawata to the mega in like mega.
Now it becomes more complicated. Mega.
Okay, ni tati ina tango chola jan kidishena.
Vale, mega sundan. Tapi chegola. So.
Chola jana yasarte.
Vale, mega yansana yapar.
Chola jana yasarte.
This becomes very philosophical.
Yeah. The chola jana,
So maybe we can connect with some experience.
Chola jana yagiri.
It's better.
Okay. Okay. Tango pena dijuk wa. Dichute Demba Maduba, Re, Labina.
So,
Demba Maduba, Re, Labina, Tati, Ronton, Chuchimo, Togo.
So if we say this table is not truly existent, this is how the Rangtong defines emptiness. It's emptiness is absence of true existence.
Pena, one is Nyamja. Tatu nyambar se tosho jangi di meeting la o kawade di chukte di demba matupa re sen tende korangi tatang chyorwa ti tinda won doing la rangtong pase go re.
So somebody who, when they are in very deep samadhi in meditation, and when they their experience of emptiness is looking at things and seeing them as this thing does not truly exist. This is how they perceive emptiness.
Tati jentong ba dozo karla bos. Tat tindi sam tang baina pe chen chimbo lepsar yes. Harasana pe tajil hum ro nyanga dos. Rawat dem mano bare se diko chi. Jemba shu chimbo chi leve tela yang. Demba mado bare la demba mado khorang pe jemba shu chimbo leve ki nyanga dos. Tamage tweba jora twin jemba jora jemba do thosam res.
So what the Shentong proponents of the Shentong view are saying, that this kind of understanding of emptiness is very dangerous, because we think nothing truly exists, but we start to cling at this non-true existence of everything. Kind of this non-existence becomes a thing. And then we get stuck in this non-existence, which becomes a thing. So it's not non-existence anymore. So that's why the proponents of Shentong view says this view it has the danger, one of clinging to non-existence, and the other danger is of falling into nihilism, saying that nothing truly exists, so nothing matters. So these two dangers are in this view. But what the Shentongpas will say, they will look at the table and they will say, I cannot say whether at the end, ultimately. Yeah. So this is really not philosophically, but from the point of view of samadhi in meditation, from a meditative experience, they will look at the table and they say, actually this table, that whether it exists or does not exist, I will not say, and they do not say whether it exists or not exists, because in a way, whether table exists or doesn't exist doesn't matter. So when we talk about philosophy, then it becomes much more complicated than this. Yeah, so the Shentongpas, they just say, like, they refuse to say whether something exists or not, and they just rest in meditation. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I was paying close attention when you were meditating, but I kept not so much question in the suggestion. I thought that you said that we should observe the clarity aspects when we're doing meditation, and then I don't know if that's true, but maybe someone else remembers. If we could do a short meditation and maybe then make more emphasis on the aspect of awareness.
Kola de adia chios ta gomjado rimbuche ta salcha semgi salcha la ta semgi ngogi salcha la ta soimba no so gomjado ra tene korangi samsula yang nancho gomchi gyapa ina tene ripecha yang chi ripecha kan korla gongyatuna ya poen sare semdu
Laso. Rela. Tuji ches. Jete unere re. Re. Ne tata chuchu simdo mari chuchu tambo ba. Ba.
Yeah,
Jete
Rinpoche
mune
says,
kechim bore katang mazo ripi chate ha do ba. Re.
so Rinpoche says you're right, but now the time is up.
Ne
So
pache chikche ni ngade pache ripa ta sawa ni na te sawa la shengo te che yo mendo ma.
so maybe Rinpoche has a little bit more attachment to the clarity aspect of the mind. So he forgot the knowing aspect.
가장 나기 찍고도 디 셈나 따세 디 섬나 따요 말아 망베나 나라 데 섬나 마타 있어라.
So he was saying he forgot to follow yesterday's instruction to watch his own mind, even when with many people.
네. 네. 오늘 나한테 같이 리포트 사와니 때문에 사와들 테스트. 데 테스트 인트레스트 체어 뭐도 테스트 셈바데 테스트 플로시. 당고서 사와들 테스트 네차 존도 거라. 리포트 테스트 니박 찬도 봐. 테스트 니박 차도 테스트 동안 체어 돼요 인사나. 네.
So it seems Rinpoche is more feels more connected to the clarity aspect of the mind, like he's more interested in that, and because the clarity aspect of the mind, it refers to this calm abiding state of mind, and the knowing aspect is more like the function of the mind, the power of the mind.
타제만 가서 정말 싸워다 리파 찍빠지는 감지에 돼 있어.
So in the future he will always remember to meditate on both.
아직 들어가서 고대시. 네.
He's just kidding.
올라서더니 다다 지나가 정말 다다 정말 도린 체질은 정말 도지체 쉐니스 되는 다른 강다자 네 나랑문이다 간다 야구지 슈시 마송 되는 상만다 뭔가 슈 봐. 네 한테 테 펜도 중요나 나한테 가사레스다.
So Rinpoche says that thank you for your questions, and he apologizes if he was not able to explain everything clearly, and if his explanation was beneficial to everyone, he rejoices in that, and he hopes that it was. So we will do the dedication and aspiration.